go. You can add more pressure and take more off, and it'll actually shoot some sparks.
So Isaac, what's the biggest thing you learned for starting out welding?
Probably just to go slow and keep it close.
Yep.
And not to have it so hot, but just the right amount of heat.
Yep. How do you know what the right amount of heat is? Like if you're getting started and you haven't used the welder before, or you haven't used that material recently, how do you know how to set up for the right material and voltage settings and wire speed and all that?
It's got like a little manual inside it.
Yeah, and that'll get you in the ballpark where you can match up your wire type, which if you're solid or hollow core wire, and what kind of shielding gas you have, and the size of wire, and then the thickness of the metal. Then you just match all that up and say we're doing 12 gauge for 30 thousandths wire with CO2, and it's solid. What did I say? 12 gauge. It'd end up a 5 for voltage and a 50 for wire speed. A 5 right about there, and then a 50. Don't be afraid to vary from the settings that they tell you. They just give you a ballpark, so feel free to do more or less wire or more or less voltage. The voltage you want to adjust only when you're not welding, and then you can adjust the wire speed while you're actually welding to fine tune it. Let's see, show me a weld where you were going too fast.
Be right there.
Yeah, right there, going too fast. And how about one, show a weld where there was too much wire, too much wire speed. Yeah,
right
exactly,
there.
right where it's mounted up there. Too much wire, maybe a little bit too slow travel speed. What is the, like, point to a section of perfect weld bead?
Like right there, or
A little bit right there.
right here.
Yep, right along there is really good. That's also pretty good right there. Nice and smooth. It's blended really well into the base metal, and not bubbling up, like coming up too much. How about penetration on the backside? So you can even match to troubleshoot your welds. You can look at the backside, and then so they like say, okay, so that point I was hotter than over here. So now let's look. Oh yeah, sure enough, that part looks better than that part. That part looks pretty cold and there's not very much wire. That's probably when we adjusted the wire speed way down, and so it just wasn't making enough of an arc and a consistent contact. So you can kind of troubleshoot looking at the backside and figure out, you know, what your good sections are and what your bad sections are, and kind of troubleshoot that way. How about doing this? What's the technique for doing a T-joint like that? What kind of a gun action? You could even, the machine is off, so you could even take the welding gun and show me what kind of movement you would do.
You kind of have get it pretty close, and then kind of go slow and wiggle it up and down.
Yep. And why are you wiggling it up and down like that?
To have a weld on the bottom and the top.
Yep.
To make it to connect it.
Yep. Perfect. And then how about what happened up here?
I had a blowout.
Where it got too hot and blew out on the inside. If we look inside there, if I can get it bright enough, we can see where it kind of blew out there. So what did you do to fix that?
I just welded around it and over it.
Yep. Just filled it in with more metal. Nice. Excellent. You did a really good job picking all this up, Isaac. This was awesome. Good job. Let's see. This one's yours, right? Mm-hmm. Kind of warm. So, like, you started off with this one. What was, what made it go like that, and then how did you get to doing those?
What did you do to tune it to, because, you know, maybe you were...
I was too fast.
Mm-hmm.
So I slowed down.
Yep. And then also, were you really far away or really close when doing that one?
Far away.
Yeah, far away. So, and that's called stick out. So getting the gun nice and close. The machine is off and this is not grounded. So you can just kind of show me how close you want to be and about what angle you want to be. Yeah, you want to be right about there. And then about what speed do you want to go at when you're moving across? Exactly, yeah, perfect. Right about that speed. So then how about with what happens when you have too much wire feed, when the wire's feeding too fast? What happens?
It's gonna get thin.
It actually gets thick because it's when you have too much wire, it's coming in too fast.
Remember
So like,
what sound does it make?
I think about here.
Popping.
Yeah, you're right. It pops and it like shoots your gun away. It's like it scoots it away a lot, and it sparks like crazy. And then what about when you have not enough wire going? When you have not enough wire, what does it do?
It gets too small.
Yeah, it gets too small, kind of fades out like right about there. It just like goes to nothing, and it balls up, and it can end up sticking to the tip if you have not enough wire coming out fast enough. It'll melt and melt back up into the tip. So I'm going to undo this. This is a way you can save from cutting all this wire out and wasting it. You can just undo your tension, your roller wheel, and just roll the wheel back in until you get to the right length of stick out again. Right about there. And remember this tip to keep your liner clean. Wrap a little paper towel around and put a clip around it on the wire. So it's kind of loose, but you can feel that it's actually rubbing the wire slightly. That'll clean off all the little tiny dust and corrosion and stuff that gets on the wire in storage. And put that back together. Okay, so now we'll see what happens when we weld without shielding gas. Okay, here we go, welding. Okay, so now everybody look at it. See how ugly it is? See, it's all pitted. See there, that's called porosity, where it's like almost like a brick or like cement, where there's little tiny pinholes through the entire thing. It also didn't flow together smoothly. It's all like scabby and just like really tall beads. There's also, it almost looks like rust because that's what it's doing. It's oxidizing. Oxygen is getting into the metal while it's vulnerable, while it's really molten hot, and so it's rusting, and it's also not sticking very well to the base metal, and it's putting all that smoke around it. So if I brush it off, clean it off, that's what it ends up looking like. It's all pitted and scarred, and there was a lot of spatter too, and it sounded awful. It was just more of a really crummy sound. You can get sort of a similar result if you have the wrong polarity in your machine. So if you if you changed out, you removed hollow core wire from the machine and you put solid wire in, but you didn't change the polarity, which are usually little bus bars or connections that you just undo some nuts and then you reorientate those connections. If you didn't do that, then you're set up for the wrong polarity, and it'll end up giving that funky looking, crummy looking weld where you won't quite know what's going on or what the problem is, but that can be a culprit too. And what sound are you looking for to get a perfect weld bead? What kind of a sound are you listening for?
Sizzling.
Yeah, sizzling, like just like baking, cooking on a frying pan. Nice. So good job.